Okay. I'll call a meeting to order. First thing on the agenda is ask for any changes or additions to the agenda. Looks like Shirley Dussel's not coming at 6:45.
Right.
So we took it off and just basically need a this gas lease discussion added on to have that signed. Anything anybody else needs to add? I'll just need motions on that.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Peter made a motion, Phil seconded the motion, change the agenda as discussed. Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Alright, so we'll bypass the public comment, seeing there's no one in attendance for the public comment. We'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is with Police Chief Sullivan. We'll need to discuss that in executive session for police
I'll
contracts.
make that motion to enter executive.
Jess made the motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Bill seconds on the motion. Any more discussion? Having none, all those in favor of going to executive session signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Alright, so we just came out of executive session and entertaining a motion to approve the action discussed in the executive session.
I'll move. I'll second.
Steve made a motion, Phil seconded that. Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Alright, so we'll move on to our agenda. And we have Joy. Yeah, Joy and Bethany.
So I'll try to get you back somewhat on schedule. Here tonight to talk about the salt shed construction inspection contract. So you'll remember that you are required to hire a construction inspector to oversee the project. And in 2021, through the pre-qualified process for V-Trans, you selected Stantec and they submitted a proposal. And then they checked in every year since. They have submitted a revised proposal. I mistakenly gave Billy Joe the 2021 version, which the content was the same except for a little bit of the price and the hours. So from the 2021 to 2023 proposal, it has only gone up about $5,000, which is great for the last 2 years, for a total of $77,000 in change. The difference where they made that up, they increased it by $5,000 with their proposal, but they also refined the total hours that they were proposing for staff time. So they, in their original proposal, was looking at 12 weeks of construction and then having a person on site for 50 hours a week, plus a chief engineer doing, I think, 6 hours or 5 hours a week as well on site. So they have kind of refined that back to still assuming a 12-week construction, and they have proposed 45 hours a week for a staff person to be on site, which seems more reasonable. I don't, Joey, I don't know, 12 weeks, if people are working every day, does not seem, that seems more than.
I would think you could, get it wrapped up that amount of time, I would think.
And there's gonna be times where you're waiting and downtime as well, where there won't be need for inspection. How their contract is worded is it is for actual costs. So if they don't use the time, they won't bill that time. So it's based on actual costs.
So 72 of that was figured into the the numbers that we've been working with.
Yes, yeah, and so it's
Oh,
a,
it's just the increase that's.
yeah, it's just the increase, and I did do I don't wanna get in the weeds with this, but I tried to really simplify that budget that we've been looking at, for the last couple of years, just to kinda show you where.
No word of anything from the causeway money.
So what I can say, and I just had an exchange with V-Trans and, not your legislator, but another legislator in the region, at the end of the week, who was able to confirm that the line item for the causeway projects are in the T-bill. So in the transportation bill. And so that is positive, it's just a matter of getting that moving, and making sure, and see what we can do to get it ready for July 1st. And make sure that the salt shed can move ahead under that funding, which is no guarantee, but it's what we've been
So
working
basically,
towards.
it's gonna be in the transportation budget, that's gonna get voted on, so if it goes down for whatever, they may amend it, those line items or something, there's a possibility.
So our reading is that, there's been no, there's been no problem with that line item being in there.
Okay,
I say we have to continue watching that, make sure nothing's changed,
yeah,
but it's in there.
okay. So at the end of the week, you said?
No, last week I had this back and forth, so confirmed that it was in there, and that was kind of before the crossover date for bills, and so kind of a busy time
Mm-hmm.
to keep an eye on things.
So this balance, Bethany, that's the,
Yeah, so looking at the overall simplified budget, that balance at the bottom is, if you don't get any additional funding, that is what is the gap for this project. And a part of that is that 200,900, that's included as secured, and that is what the town has said you will provide because of the federal grants that you're using.
okay. So this is what we've paid to date to Du Bois and King.
Yes, you've paid $61,630.14 to Du Bois and King. They still have $1,619 remaining in their contract to be available during construction if there's any questions that they need to answer.
So this is throwing in 200,000 already, and then we're still gonna need another 450?
That is your gap. Yep.
So with all the grants, basically 700,000,
Yep,
750,000.
650.
650, yeah.
Yeah, 650, sorry, yeah.
Saved you 100,000 there.
Yeah, they have.
Just like that. Boy, you're good. You do it again?
Yeah, and times by 4.
Yeah, do it 4 more times.
And how much of that is potentially from the causeway?
That,
You were
And
thinking
even
400, right?
And that's what we have requested.
What it was 400, okay.
yeah, we need that to make this even closely feasible, because we were originally thinking it was only 160, 180,000, 160, 180,000 when this whole project started on the taxpayers. Now, yeah,
Yeah, blew up.
we do have some ARPA funds that may help close some of the gap, but we definitely need legislators that,
So that money's in their budget that they're gonna vote on, and these projects, all the 9 projects are part of that? Or
So-
are they listed individually that way?
The only thing that's in the budget is the Missisquoi Causeway earmark funds.
It's not.
And so we've submitted a prioritized list of projects that we want to see funded, that, we've gone through and ranked and think appropriate for this funding. And that's what we keep working on.
So going back to this sheet here, what's the 89 on the back? Is it part of the 77?
Yes, yep, so that's just a breakout of their direct expenses,
Okay.
which, so I'm gonna use Joey's here. So that is their, so that's just their mileage.
Oh, okay, I see it here now.
Mileage breakout, and then also they'll have to direct, they'll have a direct expense for material sampling and testing. And so they have already gotten a proposal from, is it SW Soul? The testing people. SW Cole. To do the soil concrete testing.
These all the same here?
They're the same and from 2021, but
It was
the,
the wrong one.
but the information will be-
Which I didn't.
These aren't, so don't pass it up.
you can pass them out and that all the text is the same, it's the budget that they've revised.
And that was only 5,000 higher, you said?
It was 5,000 higher
Yeah.
and then taking away some of the hours that they have proposed in order to make that work.
And so,
Did we all sign it or just you?
So what I'd be looking for is, they do have a sample contract in here of an agreement. If you approve moving forward with them, then I would need to submit that documentation for V-Trans to approve, and then we would
Oh,
prepare a
okay.
separate document that would include many of the things that they talk about there, with about 60 more pages of pass-through information that they will need to sign off on.
Okay.
so basically this goes with the 77.
That's correct.
Is this a different John Little?
It's not the John Little from
From
here.
Okay. Not a common name, so.
No, it's not, yeah. It's still throwing me every time I see an email from him.
So we probably should have a motion on this. We wanna,
Is Stantec somebody you guys work with quite a bit or see used?
Yeah, I mean, they're one of the big all-purpose firms in Vermont. V-Trans has pre-qualified them specifically for this construction inspection role. And I think that's important because this role, when you're using these federal transportation dollars, it's a little bit different than clerk of the works. So it includes some of those tasks, but it really is knowing the federal regulations in and out, ensuring the Davis-Bacon, the materials testing, understanding the level of documentation that's going to have to happen each day. And also being there to verify all the quantities for the project, because you're paying based on the quantities that are used. So it's important in that respect, but.
Did they, no, Brooke, did they confirm that when their start date would be?
They would love a May 1st, and they've started to submit submittals, like specifics about the lighting and things like that once the construction inspector's on board, they'll review and sign off on. So they wanna go. They're working with their concrete sub, to make sure that timing works out as well.
Yeah, we heard that, and I.
Yeah, I did reach out to her,
I did
to the
too,
lady
but
in
I
the
didn't
office.
get a specific answer, so.
but I did, and that's what they were planning on, because I was asking her details about payment and how they want me paid.
Yep, and some of that will, once the construction inspector is on board, the next milestone, which would happen, in April, as soon as possible, is the pre-construction conference, which happens between the town, the construction inspector, and the contractor. And it really gets into those details of, these are all the regulations, when are you actually going to start? In the construction inspection proposal, you know, they're talking about a bi-weekly billing for the contractor. So, in which case, the contractor bills every other week, construction inspector signs off and verifies that all the quantities are correct, the town pays, and then that goes to V-Trans for payment.
So the reimbursements will be turned over fairly,
Yeah, because they're going in every other week.
So basically, what you handed here replaces,
That's correct. I think it's page 10 and 11.
yeah, must be, 'cause this is item 9.
Yeah, cause it's
Yep.
5,000 more.
10 and 11.
Basically, this number here should be 77,444.
I'll move that, we accept Centec as the, what, go-to people?
Construction inspection contract.
Yeah.
I like yours better.
I'll second it.
Here, make the motion, Dean second the motion to accept Stantec's proposal as construction inspections for salt shed. Any more discussion? Having none, all those in favor of accepting it, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and it's been approved. And
Well, that's not the right one.
this is.
Not, don't sign that one.
The signature.
No signature yet because I'm gonna,
Okay, so you can't just sort of,
but it will, if there's a contract ready to go prior to your next meeting, I'll leave it with Billy Joe at the office. If not, you'll have it for your next
so
board meeting that you can sign then.
you're approved for that.
Oh, thank you.
Another step.
moving on. Someday you won't be having to come in here.
I'll find another reason.
Thanks, Bethany.
Alright, thanks, Bethany.
Thank you, Bethany.
Joy,
Yep.
you got some stuff for us?
Yeah, I've got a bunch of the annual stuff to sign, for you guys to sign.
Yeah, and we still gotta do the reorganization of the board, so your name might pop up on that list too.
Yeah.
So hang around.
So, one thing's the annual financial plan that you need to send to V-Trans within 30 days after we have a passed highway budget. So we'll get that done. And again, I've shown on the back here a breakdown of how I did the math for our winter expense. And, I don't know, you're probably not really interested in it, but if you are, you can look at it, we can change it if we need to, but. And then there's the actual plan, and then there is the signature page which certifies that you're raising at least $300 per mile for all the town roads to go to your budget for this year.
Is that for all of them to sign?
Yes.
So,
So state law says that within 30 days after you have a passed budget, you gotta supply them with a financial plan, which is an estimate of how you're gonna spend your
need a motion for that,
funds.
to approve the financial town highway plan.
Or just signatures?
I think so, just signatures that the budget's already passed, right?
Passed.
Implemented. So basically, when I explained it before, but the higher your winter expense is, the less you have to come up with for a match if we have to, if we apply for an emergency grant. It's just, yeah. If you have some kind of an emergency, FEMA is involved and you're going to the state for an emergency grant, it's gotta be greater than 10% of the cost of your non-winter budget. So the more winter expense you show, the less of a match that you have to come up with. And you notice the rates too for the class, you get the rates for class 1, 2, and 3 roads. We don't have any class 1 roads, but they all went up a little bit, just so you can see what class 1 and 2 and 3, what the rates are per mile.
Big difference. 12,000 class 1 would be nice to have more of that, huh? Is this,
That's the math, yeah.
per year?
If you divide that number by footage. Alright, another one is a certification of compliance showing that you've adopted the latest road standards, which you did back in July 15th, 2019. You adopted the latest, that's just a compliance form saying that you did. And the next one is municipal roads general permit annual report form. I think just Larry signs this one, saying that we're following our municipal roads general permits requirements and doing the work, and we're up to date. This last year was the 5th year, and that was a milestone where you had to have so many of your projects, I think 15% of your projects done. We're gonna keep going on and get more aggressive probably as time goes on, as far as having to have more done in shorter time.
How many projects have we get done?
I don't know a total number, but
That's
we
more than
reached
15
our,
now.
we reached our 15% this last year. And then some. Next thing I got is we have a structures grant for the box culvert on Tyler Branch Road, just past the intersection of the Overt Road. So that work, I tried to get it started this winter as far as getting the box engineered and built, so I'm still kind of working on that. But we had Jim Smith before, who wasn't an engineer, but he was a technician, and he used to do a lot of the engineering and drawings and stuff like that. Well, now Jim's retired and there's nobody really that has taken his place, so we kind of need to hire somebody to kind of do some of the layout and to approve his plans too. These other guys don't feel comfortable really, I don't think, building the box without somebody saying, yeah, that's a good design, or this is what we can do. So I got a proposal here from Tyler Billingsley from East Engineering. He was recommended by Scott Woodhue, who has worked with him a lot. He was recommended by Camp Precast people who have worked with him a lot, and he's done a lot of these town projects, and I know he's done some, he's got a list here actually. Different towns he's done projects for, all around us. Big Bakersfield, yeah, all around us, Jericho. So, his proposal, so this is basically, he'll do some of the layout. He'll be there probably when some of the work's going on. Let's see where the tally is here. I guess guess it's on the third page.
Yeah, Jim's my dad's age.
Yeah, he's retired, and Randy Reed and Sheldon was gonna do some of it, or had done some of it, but I think it's getting to be a little more to it and complicated, and more time involved, and so he doesn't really wanna do it anymore, so. So that's what these guys are recommending, you get somebody that's an engineer, just to get their blessing on the design. They'll probably, sent this with Tyler, and I think by the sounds, he'll probably do his own drawing, his own engineered drawing, so that'd be some of the cost, but, I get it broke down there. And I know there was some engineering figured into the grant that we got, so there's some money there. Total amount of the grant's $113,000. The maximum amount for the grant is like $175, so if we needed to, I could probably go back and get that amended if there's some more money available and get it boosted up some. We have done that before. Cause this project was figured, it was probably, dollar-wise, figured out probably 5 or 6 years ago. We just kept adding the cost of the box, just to send a new proposal for the box and updated the pricing, so that kinda kept up, but some of the stuff maybe we'll be a little short on funds, but I think it can get it amended, or if we need to, we may be able to get more out of the program.
So would this be a signature or a motion for,
You
To
guys
go
make a
out-
motion
to go out?
to utilize this,
Yep.
okay,
engineering service. Or bridge,
Once he's on board, then he'll approve the plans, but it sounds like he's probably gonna
they call
have
it,
his own set of plans.
call that bridge, bridge 5.
Yeah. And then once that happens, then they can send it to the building people, and they can send it to their engineers and get the process going and get it built. Cause it takes a while for them to build them, and then they gotta cure it. So if it's something they wanna get done this summer. He'll also draw up requests for proposals to send to contractors to get bids to do the work. Sort of the same process we did when we did the box culvert by your house. Same thing.
Are they, I know last year, they were having a long delay on these box culverts, are they talking like that this year or not?
Yeah, they're still really busy,
Yeah.
and they're behind some, but
Eastern Maine.
sounds like they're gonna keep up.
Tyler Billingsley.
Billingsley, yeah.
Almost the same as the road, Tyler Branch.
Yeah.
Tyler for Tyler.
This page is,
That's gonna have some road closure probably for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I should have it pre-made, so it should.
Yeah, just be some time taking the old structure out and preparing the bed and getting the box set.
so once approved, you'll go out to him and
Yeah.
figure all of
Yeah,
that out?
that's signed, I'll send that to him, and then he'll start his work, and then the process will start moving again.
I'll move that we use Tyler Billing for the engineering and the box culvert for Bridge 5.
I'll second.
Dean made a motion, Phil seconded motion to utilize Tyler Billings as engineer for Bridge 5. Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Unanimous ayes have it. Approval has been made.
Okay, kind of a second part of that project is I've got two prices for the box itself. One from SD Ireland and one from Camp Precast. And I guess we should probably get approval for that. SD Ireland is 71,680. Camp Precast is 71,575, so they're like only $100 a credit.
Yeah,
We've always used camp, all right?
Yeah, we've used Camp before, and yeah, that's the only one we've ever used, actually, I never used Ireland's. And with it being a state grant, they like you to get 3 prices, but I don't know of a third company that you can go to. I guess there is one in New Hampshire, but
we had a project that we just did last fall, and neither of these guys could do it without much lead time. Did they say how much lead time they need?
well, that's where this kinda come from. There's not so much Ireland's, but Camp's guy come to me and said that, he said, I can do it any way you want, I can build it off in Jim's plans, but he said he would feel better if we had an engineer on board. So he's kinda waiting, if we go with Camp, as we're waiting on the approval of this Tyler. And then this Tyler will do his thing, and then after that, I don't know, they didn't really give me an exact time.
Hmm.
That's why I started this process back in the early part of the winter there, end of December or something. Actually, Ireland's got me the price last October. But Camp's was a little slow on getting it. I got it theirs in the middle of January here, but he just came the other day there, and he kinda would like to get an engineer on board with the design of the box before he starts building it, so.
Does he feel like, will the engineer change the design and affect the price at all, or will it still be the same?
I don't know, that's possible, I guess, but it didn't sound like it,
Yeah.
because I sent that copy of Jim's plans as drawing to Tyler. And he said if I see anything that looks like a big deal, I said I'll let you know, but I don't think so. Cause Jim's drawing was pretty much just the layout, he didn't like design like how the box should be built, he just kinda like the length and how it was gonna be set up. So these guys, like Camps, will take that set of drawings and they'll send them to Du Bois and King, actually, is who they use. And they'll design the box, they'll design this is, with this much cover, this is how strong the box needs to be, and they'll build it accordingly, so. So unless Tyler sees that the thing needs to be 6 feet longer, 8 feet longer, or should be, then I wouldn't think it'll affect the price, cause the inside dimensions is determined by the hydraulic study. The hydraulic analysis tells how big it needs to be to take the amount of flow. So, yeah, unless he figures it needs to be longer, then I don't think it'll change the price.
I'll move that we take, accept camp, precast.
I'll second it.
Pierre made a motion to accept the Camp precast bid. Dean seconded that motion. Any more discussion?
So that wasn't waiting on Tyler Billingsley to,
Not the price.
oh, okay.
No, not unless he finds some reason to change the size
Okay.
or the length of it, but
Okay.
no, this is the price
Yeah, no other discussion.
based off in what we have told him from Jim's plans, so unless the, like I said, the length of it changes, then I suppose it could, but it didn't, I don't think it will.
How much bigger is it gonna be? Or is it gonna be about the
It's
same?
an 8 by 7 box with, and there's a foot of it that's buried, so it's 8 by 6 opening. And what's there now is, I don't know, it's not much smaller than that, it's a little smaller. The existing is a 6 by 7 bridge clear span is like 6.6 with a clear height of 7, so 46 square feet. That's what's in there now, and where did I just read that? 46 square feet, and the one that's going in there is gonna be 48 square feet.
And the reason we're changing is for,
Well, it's
Yeah,
bad, it's
deteriorating.
it's deteriorating, yeah, it's time. So it's not a lot bigger than what was there, so what was there was pretty close to the right thing, but.
Any more discussion? Having none, all those in favor of camp, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Unanimous ayes and go ahead with camp.
Did the village send you anything on the annual updated emergency operations plan?
I didn't know they had anything currently goes out to them to do that.
Yeah, I didn't know if they sent you, because I talked to Sean the other day, and to get a copy of last year's actually, after it was passed. And he sent me
Oh,
that.
yes, Sean had sent me a copy, but I didn't receive anything from the village.
And he said that the village was working on theirs, updating for this year, because it's
Oh.
time again. That's the point I'm getting to.
No, he didn't send, they didn't.
So it's
send
time to update the emergency operations plan. It was done last March. So I don't think there's a lot of changes on the town side, because nobody's changed, but the village, there's probably just some changes. Because you got a different manager now. Because last year Sam Valencourt signed it, because there was no
Right.
manager.
yeah, that, we got a couple of businesses to add in there.
Yeah,
Tractor Supply.
okay. That's why I was just questioning, maybe the village had
I'll print
this
them
and they're
before the
sending it
next meeting and then we can read
to you. Yeah.
the last one that we
Yeah.
had.
That'd be a good idea. Get it done, get it over with, just so I don't drag you out till it's almost time for it to be done again.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah, one more thing is now that the budget is passed, is the annual 2% raise, is that going to affect?
Yes, it should.
Usually it does the
We will usually
select
go
board meeting.
reacted to the first, usually don't we? First of the year.
It has been that way in the past, sometimes for sure. But after the budget passes, usually you guys approve starting that process the following select board meeting, which is today.
Go ahead, Dean.
How does, yeah. What have you heard, with the cost of living so high, what have you heard other things or on that?
Is it enough?
Right,
The raise?
right.
I think we did a significant one last year
Yeah,
that included a lot of stuff, so that's why we
staying that way, okay.
thought we'd put it up to where it needed to be.
Yeah.
I think it is competitive to the others, you know.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't check this year, but maybe that's something every couple of years is to
But
just
I think going
send out
forward,
the feeler and see.
like next year, we go back to the 3 or 4 that we used to do with them.
Okay.
Well, I know that's 2% was something we kinda come up with,
Yeah.
been quite a few years now, the annual, and then
Mhm.
let's do something more. But last year you did quite a bit more, so, between the raise and the retirement stuff added in. So.
Okay. Well, I'll move that we go with the 2% raise.
I'll second.
Back to the first of the year.
First of the year, yeah.
Motion made by Dean, seconded by Phil to approve the 2% raise retroactive for the first of the year, first of 2023. Any more discussion for the town highway? employees. Any more discussion? Having none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Unanimous, ayes have it. Put that in motion.
That's all I had.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Okay.
Thanks, Joy.
So you want me to stay around or not?
Well,
Well, if you
We'll
leave,
just let
we
you
just get you, put you in more often. So it's up to you.
alright, Dan, you're next on the agenda.
This should be a lot quicker. I'm not asking for anything, so. Yeah.
Perfect.
I don't know if this is something you've heard about or seen, but you probably will. Is anybody familiar with that? Has it come up? So this is a declaration of inclusion, and it's part of an initiative that was started in 2020 by three men from the Rutland area. Bob Hornish, Al Wakefield, and Norm Cohen. And their effort proposes that all 256 Vermont municipalities adopt this declaration of inclusion. So there is a website, I can send that link to Billy Joe. It's got a lot of information on it, but the most important ones are the implementation. So the declaration is pretty simple. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the declaration, but the declaration, according to the three gentlemen that started this, what follows is the implementation phase, and that's on your second page. So I can tell you that two towns already, Highgate and Hubbardton, they signed the declaration before they did their homework. They signed it in late October last year, and then in January they actually went to the website, didn't particularly care for what they read, so they rescinded it. So I know there are over 100 towns. I don't have the exact number, I didn't check that before I came, but frankly, the only towns you read about are the ones that do something like Highgate and Hubbardton, who signed it and then rescinded it because that makes the news, and it's not generally presented in a positive light. So basically, on the implementation phase, you can see they'd like to form a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee in every town that signs it, review the official policies, programs, ordinances, procedures to assure they're free of institutional or implicit bias, arrange for implicit bias training for all town staff, and urge all the local schools, nonprofits, etc., to adopt this statement and implement it. Any questions so far? So basically, the reason I'm here is to make sure that you've heard about this, you have an opportunity to go to the website. And when it comes to the, St. Albans has a Belonging, Inclusion, and Equity Committee. And I've read all their meeting minutes, so if you choose to sign the statement and move forward with implementation, I just ask that you read the minutes for the St. Albans Inclusion, Belonging, and Equity Committee, because it seems like they had a rocky start, and you can kind of see the pitfalls. And I've read Burlington's committee as well, and there's a lot of the same problem areas that I see. So if you are going to set up a committee in the implementation plan, I can leave the whole stack of all those meeting minutes with Billy Joe. It's a quick read, it doesn't take long, but you get a sense of where they started from, what their intent was, where they progressed, and what the problem issues are now. So that's basically all I wanted to do, is just make sure you're aware of this, that if you haven't been presented with the declaration to sign, this will at least give you a background, you'll know where to go to get more information if you want to move forward with that and implementation.
Why did they rescind?
Highgate rescinded it because the select board chair who voiced the opinion, he said they rescinded it because they hadn't done their homework.
Oh, so they just were not ready to
They
do
weren't
the
ready.
implementation part.
They didn't know about the implementation
Oh,
part.
okay.
They just thought it was the statement. So when they went to the website and they started digging in, they didn't concur with it and they decided to rescind it.
Oh.
And Hubbardton was for basically the same reasons, and they used the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, specifically the equality cause. And they determined that that was enough for them.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's good to see you.
You too. Next time I'll ask for some.
Alright, Susie, you're next. Yeah, we're getting close to on time now.
Cool.
Probably 8 minutes off.
So I wanted to update you on some stuff around the office. So are you up to date on the roof situation? The League of City and Towns are, as usual, the cooperative selves that they are. And they had kicked back the bid that we got from, was it Black Slate, Black something?
Black Bear?
Black Bear. There's two roofing places called Black something. One's from Shelburne, one's more local. We're dealing with a local one. So anyways, long and short of it is they decided, because this is the third time the roof, part of the roof tap has blown off, that they wanted a structural engineer to come out and look at the roof. So I met with a guy, Greg somebody, Friday, and he crawled up in the attic and took a look and came down. I'm like, how'd it go? He goes, I don't see anything alarming up there. I'm like, oh, good. But I still don't know if his original plan was to come back, get on the roof with a pole truck or whatever, and take a look from there. And I've been out straight, but I'm gonna email him and say, is that still the plan, or were you just happy with what you saw in there? The hope is that they approve this guy's bid. That bid covers the 2020 storm, the 2023, well, it's 2022 still, it's December 8th.
2019 and 2022, right?
Okay, those two storms. So part of the main one and then a little side one came off the last storm, and his bid would incorporate all of that, and it was cheaper than the one we got from Jim Billadew that the League of City and Towns didn't like because it wasn't broken down into labor and materials, and we couldn't get him to come back with one. So we're hoping that if he has to get on the roof, that report looks good as well. This kid who worked for Leon Tower said, you know, I think there needs to be different fasteners used holding it down. And strangely enough, since then, I've gotten a couple emails from Leon Tower, and he hasn't had an interest in bidding it, but he did say that if we wanted to pay some money, I said, how much money? About $500, he would do a whole assessment of the roof, about if the whole roof needed to be replaced. I think that's jumping ahead. I think let's see what the structural engineer says and what our options are. He works with somebody who writes a lot of grants, if that were the case, worst case scenario, but I don't even wanna go down that road until we hear from him.
Because it would be all slate, right?
Yeah,
Replacement.
because of the historic nature of the building, yeah. And I think, you know, I saw some reference to the roof work in 2000, so I'm not sure how much they did then, if they did a whole new underlayment and whatever, but I don't know what happened between 2000, 2007, 2009, I think, was when we had to address it when I was around, and at that point, when Jim was done with it, it was 100%. And then we had the 2019, and part of the 2019 is they sent a payment, we looked at it, and knowing from the past history of Jim's bids, it was like
It was a little over $6,000, and his bid was over 20,000.
yeah.
So
it
we're
was
not
like-
even close.
Not even close, so didn't cash the check. They called it stalemated, insisted to Billy Joe that she needed to cash this next one, so it's been sitting in the general fund. So worst comes to worst, we have between 6,000 and 7,000 sitting there to work toward the repair of that. So that's one project going forward, and then
Who wanted the structural engineer, the Black Bear or?
City League, the League of
the
City
League
and
of
Towns, the
City.
insurance company,
Okay.
yeah.
Because we'd had multiple.
Yeah.
So they were questioning the integrity of the roof itself, and I think we've done a good job keeping it, you know, but you guys pay a lot of insurance for them to give a pushback on a claim is a real pisser.
Yeah, well, I didn't feel it was a huge amount claim, it's not like a whole building.
No, and it just seemed, wow, you know, you pay all that for all your buildings that you pay, it seemed like a real thing. So then we get back to the spring drainage and the water infiltration, haven't seen it yet, keep waiting. With John DeSaro now on board, I wanted to revisit the agreement that was made between the town and the select board to get the drainage done, and I don't recall which meeting it was. Billy Joe remembers it, John Elwell was there, and I do too, but I don't know if it was a joint meeting. I seem to think it was. Did you used to have joint meetings down at the office?
No.
Feel like it was down at the
No,
office.
I think it was, we agreed and then you had gone to them and they agreed to work with us. It wasn't a joint.
Okay. Anyways, so, I hadn't really spent a lot of time with it about trying to, I know I had said I was gonna go out and try to get materials. And, we have a facility committee within the board, we met. And I tasked me, I said, I can't get this done, there's just too much going on, I got a golf tournament, whatever, can people go out and try to find what they can find? And Bates has agreed to donate, piping at cost. We're hoping maybe that we can get stone somewhere if it's not available in the town or the village. I kinda had to like update John DeSaro about the fact that they are on the deed, and so even though everything's going through the general fund, if they have, you know, some materials to help, that would be great. And I also talked to him about the commitment that had been made, about doing the best they can do to get it done. You know, it's gonna be a dance of coordination, trying to get everybody together at the same time, but with their equipment and whatnot. The other piece that I think is gonna add a little, I was worried about the easement that was done when we got the 50,000 for the windows. We had a 15-year easement with Preservation Trust. Lady got back to me today, she jumped through to the, whoever it was that was looking at it, cause the new easement has archaeological findings that have to be met, and she said, we don't have to do it.
Oh, good.
So that was a really good plus, and what was the other piece on that? That was a really big plus. And, oh, the other piece was looking at the chinking above ground on the foundation. I've had it in my mind for the past 6 months or so, we should probably get somebody in there to take a peek at that. It's one of the maintenance things that was pointed out in the Cincerbro grant way back in 2008, I think, that's something that should systematically be looked at. There's a couple little holes that I think, not major, not like our foundation's gonna fall in, but they need to be looked at. So then I started thinking about if water's coming through, what's going on underground. So another piece of that coordination piece will be trying to get a mason to come and look while it's exposed, and then we'll have to deal with that bare, because I can't imagine after getting fabric and stone and pipe in that you wanna redig, you don't, so. I don't know if once everything's laid and it says this piece needs work, that piece doesn't, if you can cover up some pieces and just leave the hole open where they need to do masonry digging or masonry work, and then they can, I don't know, but that's part of what I'm gonna try to coordinate. Chris was talking to someone who would, I don't know, somebody who had been around the building and thought that maybe, you know, there is drainage that,
Old drainage.
Reggie put some in.
Reggie put in, and Roy Carpenter still, should check with Roy, cause I think Roy worked with him, if he has any
You may recall,
recollection, cause there's these tubs at each corner of Keystone, and not sure what they do, and I found my video recording of our exploration with Last Angus about what it needed to look like, basically a curtain drain with some berm going away from the building so that there's some surface direction as well as what it's collecting underneath. But the back still gets really moist too, even though the water that we see is basically from the parking lot side. We don't see it coming in from Corrine Ryan's side, but I do know that the back has a lot of signs of dampness and mildew that, particularly under the stairs where that old, so I think we're gonna have to dig in the back at the very least, and the side near the parking lot, and then once that's done, then we can, with a little bit of more elbow grease with whoever we have available within the Opera House. We can rip and tear some sheetrock off, we can look at the inside and see what needs to be done. The outside's too technical and insurance coverage, I
Yeah.
don't think we can, so.
Ask, my Aunt Bev, she'll probably have those plans for, Reggie kept everything. Drew his own maps and kept everything,
I will.
so she might have that.
I have pictures of them in the hole, but it doesn't really show, it just shows them,
Yeah.
doesn't show down, so you can see what they're
Yeah.
doing.
She was, when she moved, she was, like, she called me because I had one and this one had
Oh,
one,
yeah,
so
yeah,
she may still have one,
yeah.
so.
So I'm gonna check on that, and then, John's fine, or Gary Denton about hitching it into the storm runoff. And then the other suggestion by Las Gangas was that if it's too long and there's too much water, you cannot even drop another basin that collects and then shoots out to the other one, but I didn't know, also while we were talking about it, if there was anything going on with the parking lot. I know at one point you were talking to Amanda years ago, well, Amanda somebody. Huh?
Holland.
Yeah, there was some sort of grant going on, this was,
Must be before me.
no,
Must've been
no.
before me.
At one point, we were talking about it, or maybe it was the village that was telling us, and she was looking at the water that comes off the Wright's property and comes down into the parking lot, and then there's a lot of water around that catch basin, sometimes it's to overflowing, you know, you've got that big pond out in front of the Legion.
Yeah.
So there was some talk about capturing water runoff and whatever, and so I kinda had it in my head at that point, that there was a little bit of a, let's wait and see what's going on there, but that's not you guys.
Drawing me a blank,
Okay.
you know, so.
I
Okay.
don't know why it would have been the village though, they don't have a parking lot.
You're right, and the land behind is
It's
is,
not, it's,
is
yeah, and
private.
they don't have a right
There
of way.
might be a catch basin there.
There is,
Way down, if you're looking at the lot on the left corner.
no, there's
So-
one right in the middle of the park, well, it's not a catch basin, there's something there that, Goodview, Scott says is there.
Good.
The question, is it hitched to anything anymore?
There's some sort of a drain thing up, and if you're going up in the parking lot like this, top left corner, right where the grass and the trees right around there, I've hit it a couple times with my mower. It's,
Top left corner, yeah.
yeah, there's some sort of a drain,
And then
something
you
going on
see the
there.
wetness in the swale on the
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
which Kenny LaPlante said there's no leak there, but even
I
on dry
think-
days,
Yeah,
there's
I
water
sink
there.
that far sometimes, right in the middle of the summer there, there's definitely water coming out
I
of
still
something
think
there.
there's something there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, yeah, there's something.
So I don't know. So trouble is, once water starts finding a path, it just keeps going on that path, so I'm kind of concerned about what it's done when we open that up. But that's ongoing. Dave Stetson's gonna ask Tractor Supply what they can donate, and then, you know, the pieces are coming together. It's not gonna be a quick thing, but just to update you on that. And then you should have all got an invitation to the calendar, got sent to Billy Joe.
I asked where that was because she said, we are supposed to be sending you a link to get onto the calendar, so today I reached out and she said she hasn't gotten to that yet.
She said
She
had-
sent me a note saying that you had instructed her to give us access to the
She
Google
didn't give you
Calendar.
access yet to the link?
And then I sent her today, I said, did I miss the link? Thinking, 'cause I get lots of emails,
Yeah,
and she said, no, haven't gotten to it yet.
all right, you'll have it tomorrow. Anyways, I'll update you on a few of the things that are coming right up. So on the 5th, there is 2 singers coming, one's a Grammy nominee, Alistair something and Reggie Harris, and they're doing a musical conversation around race.
We have a joint meeting that night.
And you have a joint meeting that night on the 5th?
Yep.
What time's the meeting?
6.
6:30?
It's at the village, right?
Well, it'll
Okay.
probably be here. So
Yeah,
it is their turn
it's
to
theirs,
host.
they're hosting it.
Okay, so, anyways, we're having that, it's gonna be a community dinner at 6, and the music part at 7. It's being funded by a grant from the school. These couple guys are going into the Richford School they're coming in Enosburgh School on the 5th, doing some work in the elementary schools and middle school, one's gonna do in the other. and then and then have the concert that night, and then the next day they're in Richford,
No,
or
reverse.
vice versa,
4th and 5th.
4th and 5th.
4th is in Richford, 5th is in Enosburgh.
Yeah, so, and they're doing the same thing in Richford, and they're doing a concert and community dinner. Really non-confrontational, really good music, easygoing, great way to get a little exposure to this uncomfortable conversation in a relaxed way, really talented people. On the 8th, we're having a spring flea market with vintage and antique items and lawn sale items in the big room. Before, Evan Mercy's helping coordinate it before they get going at Barn Owl Bistro, and we do the craft show in the fall. Thought it'd be nice to do something in the spring. And
That's on the 8th?
the 8th, 9 to 2, I think. And then on the 15th.
Now, has that, like, so how does has that been, like, put out to the
It's on
calendar?
an event on the Facebook, and it's on the calendar, and,
So that's the day before Easter.
oh yeah,
I think Easter's
Easter,
early.
maybe that same day is Easter egg hunt in the park, the Enosburgh Business Community Association. And then on the 15th is Soul and Soda, a band. One of the guys was in the pit band the night when I did Patsy Cline. Really good. They're brand new, funk and fusion. Phoenix House will be there with the bar and a food truck.
I
Really
might have
good. Really good group. I was looking forward to that. On
I
the
can't make any promises.
switching hats a little bit to EI on the 28th. You should have all gotten an invitation. That mobile truck is going to be here at 5 o'clock at the Armory.
Yeah, this is the 20th of March.
Yeah, 20th of March to come and look at that. Really, just even for David's sake, we need some bodies there because he's got them to come. And so,
Can you repeat that, what's on the 28th?
at 5 o'clock, the mobile truck that shows what electronic sign can do.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Down at the Armory, they wanna do it
Yes.
before,
At 5 o'clock.
yeah,
That's
Right.
right.
earlier because
Yeah.
village has a meeting.
They have a meeting that night.
Yeah.
And then not to confuse anything, if you hear any other conversation about signs, I brought the folder for this school sign to Robert Jarvis yesterday. He's with the IT stuff in the school now, and when I got done on the board there, it was like, can we please move that sign to Main Street? And they said, yeah, go ahead, and another ball that I dropped, but I did get so far as to get permission from the People's Trust Company to put it on the corner of their lawn. They were fine with that, it was just the question, who's gonna pay the power? But they were happy to host that sign, twofold, because when people are coming to games and whatever, they see the sign, they know the school's down there. That sign would be for school stuff, it's been paid for with school dollars, it wouldn't be a town village sign, so I don't want that to impact David's work on a town village sign. Somebody else mentioned, a good place for that sign might be right at the athletic fields, and then if they did allow some town village stuff, you'd have them come in both ends of the town and village, but I don't think that's the case. But so that's a separate thing going on, but just wanted to kind of clarify it before it got muddied when you guys heard about that sign. And I'm not sure how far along Robert is, but he's got the know-how to make it work, and it was a real pain for Lisa Chapey to deal with because it spoke one language and the school was speaking another, and it didn't work really well. He knows how to build a bridge.
Good.
I think that's it. Any questions? We have patching to do in the hall. Opera House people are gonna figure out how to do that. On the side, when you come in to the right, at an event last year, one of the bar people didn't know that the plug was out on their cooler, cause they bring their ice in, and it put a lot of water on the floor, and it ruined our newly painted ceiling that Lou Rose had done for us. So we'll have to get in there, do a little scraping, put a little fabric goo on, and then paint it, but we'll get that done. And also at some point, I'll send you the next date for the facility meetings. If anybody wants to come, they're welcome to come and help with that conversation. We have a big giant wish list that has everything to do with structural stuff for the facility. We wanna make sure we're on top of it so that if a grant comes up, we have it documented all the way to stuff that's strictly theatrical, like new lights or whatever. And then at some point when things are calmer, we can set a date for talking about the MOU, welcome for that conversation. Any questions on our annual meeting data, welcome to those.
It's a good event they had the other day, Nikki's thing.
Had a
raised
great party, so I'm waiting for the
$3,000.
bills on that, and we're gonna write you a check for the extra heat and electric usage. Gonna look at the data that has been sent to me, so we can come up with an average rather than just take 1 year, like take 3 or 4 years of no activity there, what's the average cost, and then pay beyond that. Nikki Valley had a fundraising birthday, she called it Party with a Purpose. She had 2 bands, she had food and a bar, huge, auction, like raffle auction, and she raised $3,000 for charities.
Hmm.
So, yeah. A lot of fun.
Good turnout.
Very good turnout.
Mhm.
Yeah, she started at 4 in the afternoon.
So where's the, is there an application for people?
Yes.
Okay, is that, and that's on?
It should be on the website, I think, or by just
'cause I tried
emailing,
to find it. Okay, so emailing.
email them, and I think it's $20 a spot, an extra 5 if you wanna use one of our tables.
Oh, no, so I don't mean that particular, so, like, if somebody wanted to rent the Opera House.
They email, they can see, the general public, you're gonna have access to 2, you're gonna have the events calendar where they can say, oh, there's an event going on.
Right.
And then there's another one that shows board meeting, programming, and the events. And so the public sees this one, and if they say, oh, there's an open date, I wanna have a party,
Mm-hmm.
on the website, it does talk about contact the Opera House by
Okay,
phone or email.
okay.
And then,
Gotcha.
we have those different tiers that I explained in there, profit, nonprofit,
Mhm.
civic,
Mm-hmm, Yep.
those things, so,
okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
and that's it.
Do you have vendors, like, ready to go for the 8th?
Me.
Oh, you? Oh, no.
No, we do have vendors.
Oh, okay.
Margot, Evan Mercy, we tried to really say that we don't want, it's not direct sales, it's not a bunch of clothing, but items, like you had have a flea market
Okay.
or a slant toward antique vintage,
Okay.
for people like to do that, and, yeah,
Yeah, that would be fun.
so.
I'm glad Angie's gone now.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I'm like, did she bring you?
No, I had my broker's open house today, I had 2 brokers show up. It's my butt trying to get that place clean, I'm so tired. So, but I still have a lot of stuff to get rid of, so.
Now, on the drainage for the Opera House.
Yes.
Is that because I think we've talked about this before, and part of
Many
the
times.
problem was figuring out how to get rid of it, and Gary's finally said we can hitch in.
Well, yes, said you can hitch in to the storm runoff.
Mhm.
I was getting a little confused in the conversation because we had issues with water in the elevator pit. And Gary Atherton at one point says, well, we're really not supposed to, but you can put it, they're gonna put it through the gray water, and we didn't. We ended up putting a sump pump and we have a bucket. So the pump comes up and there's a bucket. And I looked with my phone and it looked pretty good. It looked good, you know, it might have been damp, but at one point there was standing water and it didn't look like that at all. So whatever happened there, that's working well. And then we know where the storm runoff is. And in his materials list, he included pipe to get there, the connection to the pipe, repairing the sidewalk. It came up to be about $7,000, but I think we can really, really knock that down a lot. With donations from Tractor Supply, sticks, paints.
That estimate was from who, or?
Gary Denton made it up with the materials list, and then with the prices, which were, I think, last year
Okay.
or so the prices might be a little bit more, but, so also looking into town and village coffers, if there's any materials left over, or anything that would fit any of those things, well, why go out and spend more money if we already have it? And see where we can go from there, and then figuring out exactly what equipment's gonna be needed, and the manpower to do it. And I know it's gonna be a real shit show trying to get, you know, town, village, Mason, all available at the right time, but I mean, you know, I think we can just be open-minded and see when we can squeeze it in, even if it's this is the day we're digging the ditch, but nothing else is happening. And then we're gonna get together again and, some other people can be able to come in and lay fabric and pipe, but first we're gonna get all the materials together too.
Is there a downtime at the Opera House to do that? It sounds like April's kind of busy.
It's not gonna affect the front until we cut across the lawn, so it's gonna be the side, the back, the two side entrances in the back, and we'll just have to block it off, people come in the front. And what will be a little bit of a finagle is we'll have to move the not the handicap, but the side entrance. That piece is not connected to the building, so we'll need to move it back in order to do the ditching, and we might have to build like some sort of temporary catwalk from the building to that, if it's gonna be moved at a time when people are gonna be in the building. That whole thing eventually is gonna need to be replaced, but that is gonna probably be an easy fix, cause it's ADA, and there's ADA money like crazy out there, so. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susie.
Thanks.
Do you know a vintage therapy? Have you heard of?
Like going to auctions and stuff, is that vintage therapy?
Well, no. She had a shop in St. Albans, vintage. It was called Vintage Therapy.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
she has a ton. I didn't know if you were still trying to find.
No, I've kinda kicked it to Evan
Oh,
Mercy,
okay.
and we've got flyers out,
Okay.
Raymond Ferlin delivers, wherever he delivers the courier, he puts all posters up for
Okay.
us, and then we do the local ones. And it's, I don't know if she's put it out in Front Porch Forum yet, but
Okay.
if you go to our website, feel free to share it,
I will.
because we'll take them
yes.
right up to the last minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey Garrett, you're up next. English director. How's it going tonight?
Good, how are you guys?
Good.
I haven't met you yet.
No, I'm Jessica
Jessica,
Eagles.
Garrett, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So I just wanted to touch base with you guys tonight, just giving you kind of a quick update what we're working on. So I met with Becky, who is the head of Colchester Rescue, working on a LAD Tech, which is the scheduling system we're using right now. And she's kind of really opened up a lot as to what a LAD Tech's capabilities are. So right now we're using for our timesheet system, we're using the Google Docs system. And all of that is actually built right into a LAD Tech. And it makes it easy so employees can actually have a reference to their timesheets. They have to sign off their timesheets individually, and then it's easy for me to go in compared to what their schedule is, and I can send it to Billy Joe and Mary in a much easier system. So there's a lot of capabilities with that system that I've learned over the past week, and that's something I'm working on right now. The nuance to it is you just have to build it to what your service needs. So I'm working with a lab tech this week to build the system to what we're looking for. And once I get it set up, then we're gonna do a big training with the employees to get that situated. Next select board meeting, I'll have a presentation for you guys looking into IV pumps. We're getting quotes right now. I know Amcare has a couple leftovers that they're not using, so we're obtaining quotes from them, and then also comparing to new ones that are online, and refurbished ones as well. So next meeting,
And we
Steve
did
I-
get a fairly decent,
Yeah.
large-size donation from Kermit Blaisdell's family when his brother passed away, who was living at Runway.
Yeah.
So it was a little over $3,000, so that
Wow.
helped offset.
We got a big generous.
That's great.
Yeah. So, which will be
Very
more than
nice.
enough to cover the cost of those IV pumps. I also.
Oh, if we can back up to a lab tech
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit, we had talked about, time cards.
Yeah.
And about the use of, I think you guys were all on board at the time when we purchased the software, about the use of time clocks, just so we're all on the same page. I
Yeah.
think that's the path that he's leading down, so you may.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Is this system you're talking about the same one?
It's the same one,
Same
yes.
one.
He's just
Alright.
getting some
Yeah.
training on it,
Yeah,
and
okay.
it's doing more than
Basically-
what we were even told that it
Yeah,
did. So it's been
basically,
looking-
we're using 10% of what that system's capable of
Oh,
doing.
okay.
So there's a lot that, and you can build it directly to what your service needs and
good.
does, so it makes life a lot easier than
Yeah, good.
chasing down these Google Docs.
Yeah, good, good.
So very handy. The other thing, the radios, I touched base with Sam today, and EJ found an invoice. we talked and it's not gonna be paid until we receive the radios. Sam contacted them today and they were just waiting to obtain the frequencies because we haven't worked with them in 10 years. So Sam sent them the updated frequencies that we're using with the simulcast system. So he can program them and then ship them to us. So hopefully they will be here in the next week or two.
Great.
Could we get refurbished ones or brand new ones?
You
know,
These
kind of,
are these the 75, 50?
Yeah, the
whatever,
7500s, I think.
Whatever they were, yeah.
Yep, yep, 5 of those, an extra battery and microphones with them. So, we're just programming.
And they went to Runway last week as well.
Yes. Yep, and that with Amanda St. Cyr, and we had a long discussion, a little over an hour, and discussed how the service was working and changes that they were looking for. We're working on building a good relationship with them, what we're looking for when we take care of patients at their facility, and then also what they're looking from us when we go to their facility. So we had a really good discussion with them. They gave us a tour of the facility, and then she has my contact information, so if any issues ever come up, I told her, please feel free to contact me at any point, and you know, any issues with any of our employees, to immediately let me know so we can address them.
Good.
So, yeah.
Good.
She's very happy with that.
I wanted to say my mom was taken to the ambulance, with the ambulance last week, and Steve and Shaylin
Yep.
did a great job. Very, very professional, very good job. Very impressed.
How's your mom?
Not good. She's in the villa in St. Albans there. Yeah, yeah. So, but no, they did a great job with her.
Good.
Yeah.
That's what we want here. Do you guys have any questions with any updates on what we're working on?
It sounds like a lot.
It is a lot.
It's
They're
short.
very busy.
I'd say a lot, but that's
They're
what
nonstop.
I know anything new like that,
Yeah.
and being able to learn it right off and
Yeah.
utilize its abilities is huge. Because yeah, we would have just been ticking along and paying a good price of, like you said, using 10% of what
Right.
it's
Yeah.
capable of. And
Yeah, and it's a bonus that most services in the state of Vermont are actually using this system. It's just knowing and working with a lab tech to build it the way you need it. And from what she's told me, they're very easy to work with. They'll stay there on the phone with you and make whatever you need them to make.
Good.
So we can keep track of everything. And then the other thing I'm looking into right now, because we're using these Unit 2 calls, we're doing stipends with these Unit 2 calls. But this is where a lot of question comes in, because we have variability if we transport versus if we don't transport, if they're doing station coverage, whether they get that stipend or if it's just an hourly base. So I'm looking into just switching to a straight hourly base system, where if they come in for a call, they're paid from the time they come in to the time they go home. Then we don't, which that's a lot of the problem we're facing right now, is trying to find out, okay, did they transport, did they transport, do they get the stipend or not get the stipend? And there's a lot of discrepancy going on about whether they're getting what they need or they're putting it in incorrectly, so.
You can have the same crew members on the same call and you'll get
Right.
two different
Two different
variations
reports.
on there, like one's getting paid hourly, one's getting paid trip. And
Yep.
at least to lots of hours of discussion at our office, tracking down the person who filled out the timesheets, and then we're like, and then we have to get to the director and it's like, well, this is what this one did, and this one, what do you say?
You gotta
Right.
track to the patient care report, and it's just,
And especially if
Gotta
it
get it
happened
streamlined.
5-6 days ago,
Yes,
it's like trying to
yeah,
recall it.
mind-boggling.
right. So now, at least with this, they fill out a form every time they come in for a Unit 2 call, then they put in the specific times that they went to the call, time they went home, and then I have to verify that form. It also goes to payroll, so they see that as well. Employee gets a copy, so if there's ever any discrepancy, we can all see it, so it takes out that variability. So right now, I'm looking at an hourly system for that, instead of doing the stipend.
Good, yeah.
But as long as the budget supports it, but I'll propose that to you guys once I get that together.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great.
I had a quick question, but it probably needs to be in an executive. For Garrett.
Personnel.
So I'm gonna move that we go into executive for personnel discussion.
I'll second.
Dean made a motion, Jess seconded the motion to go in executive of personnel. That's personnel. Any more discussion?
Oh, great.
Having none, all those in favor, going to executive, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. And the size, if you want executive.
You must have gone home.
Alright, so we basically got reorganization. This gas lease thing, which is basically we had the RNG, they want to do the extension to the St. Pierre's, there's a different letter they wanted us to sign to help them out, which is, you asked for a determination about town of Enosburgh. I thought we did this similar, but
It's quite similar, the other one
it's
was
worded a
longer.
little bit different. Whether conversion of the existing Pleasant Valley Farm digester to a digester that produces renewable natural gas would have an impact on municipal. For educational services, we understand that you will file this letter with the Public Utility Commission with respect to 248 criteria related to municipal and educational services. We have reviewed the plans, determined there will be no impact on educational or municipal services, will have no impact on the fire department and other municipal departments. Town roads can easily accommodate the project's construction and the finished project. No other municipal service will be affected. Town of Enosburgh supports the project and has no objection to it. So, you guys still okay with that? Sign it and send it.
Yeah.
Basically what we said before.
Mhm.
Alright, so let's reorganize. I don't know if you wanna stay through the rest. It's up to you. We're just doing reorganization of the board. Got some warrants to sign.
Is that usually a public part of the meeting?
Usually, yeah, how do we do it at the beginning of the, it's supposed to be done at the beginning. We had a agenda, we had to start early. You have the,
Yeah.
It's on that pile to your top left.
yeah, it shouldn't take too long.
Right there on top.
Alright, so reorganization of the board. Chair. Do I have any
Do we have to make?
nominations for?
No, I nominate Larry.
I'll second that. Or no, I can't.
I'll second it.
Is there, any further discussion? So, all those in favor to have Larry Jarvis be the chairperson for the town of Enosburgh, say aye.
Aye.
So passed.
Do we wanna just look at this whole slate and say, do we wanna do the same as last year?
Might as well read 'em.
Yeah, maybe tell us.
Well, that's the only one we really had to kind of do separately, but.
Okay, we should do the vice chair separate too, and then nomination for vice chair.
Nominate Pierre for vice chair.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Nope. Okay.
Jess seconded it.
Good. Aye.
Any more discussion? Not, all those in favor, Pierre, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Still passed.
Yeah.
Okay, clerk for the board. Do you have a nomination?
It's Billy Joe. So nominate her. You wanna do the rest of them together or what? Or,
We can, if you want.
What do the rest say? I can't.
Clerk for
read
the
it.
board is Billy Joe Draper, tree warden is Joey Clark, emergency management, Pierre Letourneau, the vice chair is vacant, Northwest Regional Planning, vacant, transportation
I think that was,
advisory,
we ended up putting Jesse in there, I probably should talk about the county, didn't I?
Jesse,
Jesse was original.
so Jesse Woods would be regional planning. Still a slot for a second one. TAC committee is Joey Clark, pound keeper Dorothy Preston, fence viewers Dean Wright, Gary Draper, Phil Robtoy, health officer Sandy Murphy, and Northwest Solid Waste is vacant. So, if there's any motion to accept as last year's or as currently.
I'll move to accept them as Larry read them.
I'll second.
Dean made the motion, Phil seconded the motion to accept as I read. Any more discussion? Having none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Slate.
What's the vacant seat?
So the vacant seats we're looking for is one more for our Northwest Regional Planning.
I
I
know.
think you're at it.
Emergency Management Vice Chair. Here is the chair. Which you
Did you have?
so well took care of with the cots there last
Yeah.
December.
Oh.
And Northwest Solid Waste. Vacant.
And that.
I was thinking about that a little bit, you know, they probably won't want it, but if this is set up right, on the top of that parking lot over by the Opera House, there's room to put just like Bakersfield's got.
Yeah.
And set it up nice and put some platforms around there and just have it guarded off during the week, and then whenever it's open, the place to pull in off the streets and. But that's something that we're paying into all the time, taxpayers. And we don't really
don't get
benefit from it if we don't
nothing.
take advantage of something like that.
So if we had a place for them to set up, would it be free garbage removal, or how does
It's
that
not
work?
free,
No.
like, I think it's Bakersfield or Montgomery, I think they charge $2 or $3 a bag.
Yeah, it's $3 a bag.
And then other things
Other things
are a
are,
different cost.
Electronics and hose, they got a whole thing and everything like that. It's just the biggest thing is that wherever we put it, I mean, needless to say, yeah, we're gonna have to put cameras because people will drop stuff off. Like in Bakersfield, I mean, you drive by, it's like, oh, that's Larry Jarvis's truck, you know.
yeah,
You know.
everybody sees it, yeah.
Everybody sees it.
Yeah.
It's pretty clean over there. They keep it nice and neat.
They
Yeah.
do.
They really do. Yeah, they do a great job at that.
But it's just something to consider going forward.
Even if we got one that could just do garbage and not electronics, you'd have to go somewhere else. At least we'd have, a minimal something there going on. It
Yeah.
would have to be everything, just garbage and recycle.
Should we fill those tonight, or is that just?
We
That's a
can,
volunteer.
but if there's people here that aren't, you can't just say.
Because other won't go.
Well, no, I meant
Some we
like,
did, but,
like the vice
oh,
chair.
if you wanna do the vice chair?
No, I was gonna nominate someone.
Oh, okay. Somebody here?
Yourself?
Don't look at me.
Well, never mind. I was just asking a question.
I think it might have been you then.
You can make a nomination, it's open.
No, I was just inquiring if we had to fill them tonight.
But that's what I'm saying, these are the vacant spots and you can go home and.
What
if
does this
somebody-
last one entail? Like, what do you?
It's just like a regular.
Pierre
meeting,
did
but
this
it's talking
before.
about garbage.
And
Oh, I don't know.
this one, yeah, I guess it's kinda, you gotta travel too all the time.
To Georgia.
Yeah, down
Oh.
in Georgia.
For what?
North,
solid
northwest side.
Northwest Solid.
Yeah,
And that pile there,
that's for me.
that was under it, those are, like, health officer needs to be, those papers just need signatures, like, even though they're nominated, they need signatures.
Oh, yes, because
You don't wanna do that, don't you?
if you don't have a health officer, they kindly send you the form as
And he
the
got to
chair
do that
the
for a-
Well,
meeting.
then, so who becomes these people
If,
like?
Not all of them, just there's some that, by state law, if we don't have a health officer, it's the chair of the select board, but that doesn't work with all things.
Like, what about this one?
That one just says vacant.
Oh, okay.
Health officer is a different story.
What about the other
Your emergency
NWRP
service
person,
No,
like with
that's just
Jesse?
vacant.
Okay. Cause
one or whatever.
I
Is there anyone in the
was
village
this
that helped
last
you,
year,
or-
but most of my DRB meetings.
Nobody helped you?
Well, that's what he said, so
It's
he's gonna try to look at the calendar to see.
Well, that's why I've always wondered.
So I need to sign this
You know,
and you wanna
okay.
fill it out?
Yes, I'll fill it out.
So that makes
I'll
sense,
just like the fence
because I-
marker and all that stuff, I mean, it's like, it's how come?
The
It's,
planning,
you know,
DRB stuff around.
But
Same
but
bus
really
routes.
one person's fine though,
Yeah.
because like
Guys
it
in-
seemed
in the
like we
village
never
actually do.
went
Right.
to, maybe two.
I mean, granted, they're part of the TAG program and all that stuff, but I'll bet you there's none of them that know that they're supposed to be on these committees.
And then what is this?
How much do you do with that
entail?
emergency
Like,
management?
is
Are
it
you, I
just-
mean, are you setting
yeah,
up programs
he
and
doesn't-
things like
he's-
that?
It's like
Or
working
Phil just
with
said it too.
closely
when it happens,
here
you're just grabbing by the
getting
horns
things
and
set
getting
in
it
place,
done.
and we learned a
Grab
lot
by the
from
horns
the
and get it done.
last thing that happened
So
in
you need
December,
somebody to
though,
help you,
to do
like,
and not to
I
do.
think he says, he
Maybe
wants the same
put some
thing.
things into place and
Film.
procedures into place or something like that?
Yeah, I think last year it was Larry Knott. Well, somehow that name disappeared.
Couldn't speak it.
No, yeah,
I
it's
just
a
said,
visible.
Phil, I'll nominate you. No.
I mean, it'd be kinda good because you're on the select board, with the two select board people to be in charge of something like that, but I don't know why, yeah, if my name's on it, I might have been, you know, if there's an emergency, me having a large farm and stuff, I might be, which it was.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get
Right.
things done,
Right.
and I can't, I would like to, but I can't be there.
Food for thought, we can meet back again in, 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's
here.
talk about it. Sit
that's
down and talk
the-
about it
that's
and see
the-
if I wanna do it.
Oh, right.
Okay?
Sean Tyler.
Yeah.
No, seriously, you go and sit down and talk about it, I'll see if I wanna do it.
I need to say something.
It's just the thing is,
I don't
there's
know.
usually that situation, if it's
He
snowing
likes,
and blowing
he
and carrying on,
attends,
I'm working
but
too.
he
You have-
lives on the Boston Post Road and he does a good job, I guess, so we can keep him out of it.
Who's that?
Jesse Weatherwax.
Oh,
This is the one we don't have one, right?
Right, we don't have anybody for that, so we can just give it back until we find somebody. Or we don't.
Hey.
And then we need to ask if the ambulance,
Ambulance. Okay. So, on the ambulance, we got back, an email from Josh Ramsdale from Swanton, pointing out a few things he found wrong with the ambulance that we have for sale. And then saying they're happy to go along with the sale, but only offering 22. They were offering originally 25.
what'd they find wrong with it?
The truck needs an AC condenser, backup alarm, and the passenger side mirror casing is cracked in several spots.
it does need to get done. I can't speak to
And he says our board has approved the purchase. His board,
that. They have a board.
A board for the
Because
ambulance?
it's a 501
Oh.
down there, so they're not run by the town or the village. They're-
they have approved pending final inspection by our.
Which he sent me an email during the meeting that the inspection went well, and this, I think the mechanic didn't find anything else besides those things, and they are standing at 22.
So, that's us, we wanna keep trying to sell it, give them a counter offer, or
Did we have any other interest in it?
There's a company out of Connecticut that's asked if it's still for sale.
No money?
Not really an offer yet.
Yeah.
But this is still a lot better than what Robert was offering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Call that Connecticut company, tell them we got a $25,000 offer, see if they wanna meet.
Yeah. One thing about Cisco is they're gonna be, it's local.
Yeah.
You know, at least we're helping out another service in a way, and, you know, it may be a time
And
where
you
we
don't
may
have
need
to
to borrow.
take it anywhere you
Right.
want.
Right.
Yeah.
It's that. It's done.
I can hear some chewing on the left of me. You still thinking? You got any more?
Say it, yeah.
He had some possibilities, but they're not coming in. Was there somebody that wanted to use it for other?
Well, we had
games?
TDI, but,
Oh,
I think Greg Stebbins had talked about it or something. Who said that? Somebody, I thought Greg Stebbins had asked about it.
Seems like a good offer, if it's got a few things it needs done to it.
7,000 less we asked them for it.
Were they,
Well, we actually, I
Go
put
on.
it high to be.
Well, yeah, but.
yeah, 3,000 less.
were they were looking at 25 before this offer, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So $2,000, I mean. Oh, $3,000. Yeah, you're bad man
He
today.
didn't bring his TD Bank calculator.
That's right.
Hey,
my
hey, I
money.
got one. Do you want to borrow it? Phil, I got one. Got one.
I guess the other thing is anybody else looks at it and say, well, it needs a condenser, it needs this, it needs that.
yeah.
Yeah, but we,
Well, we also
yeah, but
just-
we put it in
we
as
just-
is.
We just put it through the, basically inspection proof too. Did some tie rod,
Right, yeah, it
Oh,
just
there
got
was a-
inspected.
Quite a few things that
tie
were.
rods
Yeah.
and a few different things to make it road trustworthy. I mean, we can, just ask this other company, tell them that we do have this offer, and unless they can offer more, it's gonna get probably sold. Just allow them to,
Email Josh and tell him
See if
we'll
they're-
get back to him in a
what
couple
they're-
of days,
they're
because we got somebody
interested.
else looking at it. May light a fire, you know.
or just say, we're done with it, and move on. It's up to you guys.
Kind of full circle, Swanton, started out here. Interesting.
Tell the New Jersey company you got a $23,000 offer. If they don't take it, then you tell them it's just good they have it for 23.
23? And a hard bargain.
Does the stretcher go with it?
Pressure does go with it.
That's what, 5,000 to replace, something like that?
Stretchers are $20,000
Right.
nowadays, but
But that
that,
was
it is
u-
used and.
But it's no good to us because it doesn't fit our new rigs.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think, Pierre?
Wow, I thought we were moving on.
Well, I have to have.
Either we're gonna
Moving on
table,
for what?
table and move it on, and I think ask them to
For which,
check the other company, make sure their offer's not better, or accept this. Or do both, make an exception of this offer is contingent on this other company, not.
It kind of needs to be moved. It doesn't do any good sitting around.
No, it doesn't.
And like I said, it's local. There's another service that
I agree.
we may be able to borrow it someday,
Yeah.
if need be.
Because
you know?
they
They've
do a lot
helped
of
us out, they've
Yeah.
gone
Yeah.
up in
Yeah.
Swanton.
Yeah, let it go. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Then go for it.
We'll entertain a motion if that's the case.
I'll move.
Phil made the motion to accept the offer from Swanton. Josh Ramsdale, do I have a second on that motion?
One second.
Just second that motion. Any more discussion? Having none, all those in favor of accepting the offer, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Unanimous, ayes have it. And we shall be able to purchase some other equipment with the sale of this.
Yeah, maybe the CPR machine.
Yep.
Radios we got coming?
Yes.
We have radios.
That's right, radios. All right,
Do you need
so,
this, or is this Larry's?
yeah, she can have it.
Warrants?
So we got these warrants.
Which I do wanna, can we,
I had a quick question, I don't know. Last time I did this, we went in executive and messed everything up.
well, we
But-
can,
No, and it's nothing that has to be an executive, I just, with the, Jim Cameron has stepped down from the EI. He's had some health issues, I think, and he's backing off. I didn't know if it was appropriate, or if, I know we've all had our differences over the years, but he's done a lot for the community with bringing stuff in and making stuff happen as a board. I didn't know if it's worth sending him a card and just a thank you for what he's done or something. Or a little gift card or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
Good idea.
So I know
They had
That's
something
nice.
for him
Yeah.
already, right?
they did last week, but I think,
No, yeah, I agree with that.
As a board, yeah.
yeah.
I'll get one for you guys to sign for the next meeting.
What's that?
I'll get a card for you guys to sign for the next meeting.
Okay.
Is there another Sandtech?
This one?
Because she can probably have all of them. We have three.
There was,
Those you can keep, those are the right ones.
Yeah.
And we can, thing I was wondering about is for the grant writing stuff, is it worth talking to this Elizabeth Nance or somebody that's a freelance one to say, okay, what do you charge us if we gave you our wish list of what we might need to watch out for? If something comes up, how do we work that? So she,
I'm not sure she's freelance though, because she works for, Franklin County Industrial.
does she?
I
That the
think
one
she
that-
works for Tim Smith full time.
That's not the one that was working in Swan or?
It is.
Oh,
If there was somebody
But I
like
think
that.
it would be a helpful idea, which you're on the right track. I think that each department head should start out by saying, these are the top 3 things we need,
Yeah.
and then giving it to somebody like her, or maybe regional planning can recommend somebody to help us with that and say, what are the top 3 things for the fire department, the ambulance, the highway,
Right.
you know. I mean, even just for you guys, knowing the top 3 wish things would be a helpful thing anyway,
And if it's
regardless.
something over the next year to
Yeah.
5 years
It
we're watching
always
for.
helps.
Yeah. I don't know, I was just wondering if there's somebody that specializes in this all the time or sees it all the time, if they find stuff that we're.
Worth the conversation with her.
But also get together, yeah. we need to
I could
list-
send her an email and ask her where to start.
do we need to go to executive to talk about that?
Really nothing to,
Well, what's it meaning by
well,
letter that is signed by both? 'Cause it
well,
wasn't
because
signed-
no, it wasn't signed by both. What they're saying is,
Oh, they're not gonna.
they're not gonna take action until there is a letter signed by both.
Central, the page for Enosburgh ambulance, looking for an ALS member to intercept with Enosburgh 1 at Amerigas on Route 105. Repeating, St. Albans Central, with a page for Enosburgh ambulance, looking for an ALS member to intercept with Enosburgh 1 at Amerigas on Route 105, Central St. Albans, also 2116.
I thought it said Enosburgh.
It's Enosburgh, so I think it's the call
Our
that they
own.
just had.
Oh.
Right, they need somebody with different skills.
And that was just went the Brown way.
Yeah. I need to talk to you about one executive session or get done the meeting, I guess.
I move that we adjourn. I guess we can't adjourn until we sign that.
So you can.
Can we? I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion by Dean to adjourn, second by Phil. Any more discussion? Having none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. We adjourn at 9:20.